How's it going, everyone? This is Jawbreaker here on Playfur Cinema's Gone with the Fur Theater. Today is a similar video to what we did in the past with the Roxanne vs. Mona love interest comparison video. But instead of focusing on the love interests of Max Goof, today we are focusing on the love interests of PJ Pete. And for those of you who don't know who PJ was, he was the chubby yet lovable best friend of Max, who was also the voice of reason. PJ Pete, or Pete Jr., during the Goof Troop series was Pete's son. He also had a mother named Peg and a little sister named Pistol. And since we bring up Peg and Pistol, the Goof Troop saga in general was very interesting to say the least when it came to its continuation. And I say that because you knew both movies 1 and 2, a Goofy movie and an extremely Goofy movie, were both spin-offs of Goof Troop. Yet, you can watch both and practically pretend that the TV series never happened. It was a series that left us with a lot of questions, and yet, at the same time, it didn't feel the need to explain itself, which, in my opinion, dragged down the potential of a series that was already pretty entertaining. And as I've spoken more on this topic in the past, it's also been my opinion that none so more have been hurt by the inconsistencies than the ladies of the series. For example, the woman that we knew in the 1950s as Mrs. Goof, the wife to Goofy and the mother to Goofy Jr., who later became Max, was all but missing during Goof Troop, and her absence was never explained. There have been plenty of rumors and speculations as to who she was, and even though it was never explained, in the long run it was best assumed that somewhere along the way during Goof Troop she died, leaving Goofy as a widow to take care of Max. There was also the matter of what exactly happened to Peg and Pistol during movies 1 and 2. When two characters have spent a whole show being the main support, of course fans are gonna want to know what happened to them. This goes back to those inconsistencies I was talking about. Peg and Pistol's sudden departure left fans to speculate that somewhere along the way, Peg and Pete got into another argument and it was the last straw. They got a divorce and Peg ended up taking Pistol with her. Now, once again, that was still fan speculation. It could have been possible that Peg and Pistol could have still been very much home. We just weren't allowed to see them. Now, for them not to show up in the first movie is perfectly understandable. But when we get to the second movie, it's getting a bit annoying and ridiculous. Especially for Peg, because during an extremely Goofy movie, PJ was heading off to college. I mean, am I the only one who thought it would have been a good idea for the mother to see her son off? I'm just saying. Though, despite the disappearance, at least a character like Peg got to say that she had a nice long TV run. A little while before Max was given a love interest in the form of Roxanne, there was Rose Deckenbloom. She was one of those many one-time characters that the series created, such as Debbie, Penny Packer, Stacy, Sylvia, and Beret Girl, who I will get to in a second. Rose made her only appearance in episode Puppy Love and was the original love interest of PJ. She was a short and shy blonde dog who had a love for poetry. Throughout that episode, PJ went through many shenanigans just to impress her and ask her to the dance. Along the way, he was taking bad advice from his father, he was taking bad advice from Max, and even along the way, he dressed his mom up as a date just to get close to Rose. Beret Girl was almost the complete opposite of Rose, however, because she was far more outgoing. She was a one-time character as well, and for whatever the reason, the creators never gave her an official name. So, in the ending credits, they named her Beret Girl, named after the French hat that she wore throughout the film. Now, for a long time, fans had a common misconception with her name. Her name is not Little Miss Mochaccino. Bradley only called her that as an insult to her lifestyle. Now, unlike Rose, PJ and Beret Girl hit it off a lot faster. But, then again, the PJ in an extremely Goofy movie was a lot more direct about his feelings than how he was in the TV series, which is a major development in his character because the PJ in the TV series was actually bad at dancing, at least according to him. Now, while Rose and Beret might have been bipolar opposites, there was one big thing that they had in common: their love for poetry. It's the one major thing that keeps them linked because it's the exact same thing that made PJ fall in love with both of them. Which makes you think, whoever the creator was who came up with Beret Girl obviously had to have been thinking of Rose enough in order to add that trait in for a love interest for PJ. And if somehow that wasn't the case, then it was a very, very weird coincidence. So technically speaking, when you think about it, Beret in a way is Rose. This goes back to previous videos when I was talking about wasted character development. Why create a Beret when there's already a Rose? And why create a Mona when there's already a Roxanne? However, while I'm usually a fan of First Love, this is one of those rare moments where I actually don't mind that the major character ends up with a different girl. Because, in a way, in my opinion, Beret overall is more interesting than Rose. Besides Beret being cuter, which honestly is not a fair comparison, Beret had more spunk to her character and probably ended up being more funnier than what she was supposed to be. Now, I knew Beret before I knew Rose, and when I first got to watch the episode featuring Rose, I honestly didn't like her all that much. Rose was one of those characters who would probably annoy you with all her excessive whining, but in time you would learn to get used to her. But hey, who knows what Rose could have grown up to be between her first and only appearance and the second film. That's what happens when you're not allowed to be anything else but a plot character. And truth be told, while there's not much difference between her and Beret because honestly Beret was a plot character herself, Beret had a whole movie where she was allowed to be a major character. Rose was only a major minor character for one episode, and besides her being shy and loving poetry, that episode spent about 20 so minutes following around PJ than it did focusing on her. So overall, if I was forced to pick one, I would choose Beret. But beauty's in the eye of the beholder, I suppose, or at least that's what they try to tell me. So there might be somebody out there that might think Rose is better than Beret. So that means I want to hear your comments and opinions. Also, if you liked today's video, please leave a like and subscribe for future videos. My name is Jawbreaker and I thank you for watching Playfur Cinema.